What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. On the last part, we got to see more of what happened with Kakarot as he grew up, eventually getting to meet the Saiyans. Obviously, this wasn't a meeting in good faith, it was a death match. But it actually went against what Frieza hoped would happen. Vegeta and his group were able to come out on top, with Zarbon and Dodoria being defeated and Kakarot being the only survivor. But things got a little more complicated towards the end, as Cooler's group showed up. We'll cover that more this time. For this part, let's let a like go with 3,500 likes. Once we hit that, I'll continue with another part of the series. Anyways, let's pick up from here. We left off last time with Cooler's armored squadron descending on the planet. Vegeta notices the ships flying over, and realizes that they're in big trouble. Why is Cooler here? If anything, he would have expected Frieza, but his brother and his whole army? Well, if you could even call it an army, it's like 4 people, but still. It's concerning regardless. Vegeta stops charging the blast in front of Kakarot, drawing his hand back. He's not going to kill Kakarot, they're going to take him with them. Kakarot's been so weakened and beaten from the battle that he can't really do anything, so it's not like he really has a choice. But he doesn't want to go with them, he doesn't care what's happening. All he knows is that he'll never join the likes of them. Even in a situation like this, he's still being stubborn and spiteful, and Raditz is getting pretty annoyed from this. He's tired of Kakarot's complaining and him being so blindly loyal to Frieza. He doesn't care. He grabs Kakarot, picking him up and throwing him over his shoulder, as the group all goes to escape. Kakarot protests for a bit until he passes out from exhaustion, so luckily they won't have to hear him whine anymore. Cooler's armored squadron finally lands on the planet, and they start looking around. They know that people were here before, specifically people under Frieza's command. They assume it was Zarbon, Dodoria, and that one Saiyan they had. But who else was here? It had to be those other Saiyans, right? Salz is the first one on the planet and he looks around. But his scouter isn't detecting anyone, and he can't see anyone either. He scans around the planet as the rest of the squadron lands. The Saiyans were able to escape and now they're hiding in a cave nearby. But right now they're fish in a barrel. They can't stay here forever. They need to get to their ships and get off the planet. Kakarot briefly wakes up and wonders who landed on the planet, asking Vegeta for the update. Vegeta says there's no doubt about it. It's Cooler and his squadron, Frieza's brother. Now, Kakarot's heard of Cooler, but he's never actually met Cooler, or seen him for that matter, which is weird considering Cooler is basically his adoptive uncle. But that gets him thinking, why would Cooler be here of all places? He doesn't work with Frieza. As far as Kakarot knows, the two of them are at odds with each other. So this definitely isn't some rescue squad. They're here to kill. And if not here to kill, they're here for some sort of nefarious purpose, but he can't figure out what or why. The squadron continues their search, and no matter where they look, they can't find anything. But now enough time has passed where Cooler is finally on the planet. His ship arrives and descends on the planet, and with their scouters the Saiyans are able to see that Cooler's here. Okay, things are pretty bad. They wouldn't have Cooler here if it wasn't something important. Sure, it's one thing having the squadron here, but Cooler himself on the planet actually searching for them, that's a big deal. And after all their searching, they finally find their first clue. A crater with a destroyed space pod, or at least some parts from a space pod. It seems someone shot it down while it was flying and it landed here. And inside, they find Zarbon, who is obviously dead. And with this little clue alone, it's not really hard to tell what happened. It seems Zarbon and Dodoria were here trying to kill them. They're not sure if that Saiyan Kakarot was here with them or not, but all they know is that they were here to kill someone, or a group of people, likely those other Saiyans. And it seems those Saiyans rebelled. As they keep searching, they find more and more battle scars on the ground. There is definitely a massive battle in this area, but they can't really tell what happened beyond that. The fine details are harder to figure out, but they know that there's some sort of struggle against Frieza, or at least his group. But this is interesting nonetheless. If it actually was the Saiyans, that means they were led here to be killed, which means Frieza didn't want them anymore. And obviously with Zarbon's corpse right there, they don't want to be with Frieza either. This actually does pose an opportunity for Cooler, a weird one though. He can recruit the Saiyans to be part of his squad. His disdain for Frieza outmatches the disdain for the Saiyans. And obviously he can dispose of them himself later on. He doesn't know why Frieza didn't do the same with that one Kakarot. But Kakarot's nowhere to be found, so he's either dead or he joined the Saiyans. And Cooler knows he'll be much more effective than Frieza. If he doesn't get the Saiyans to join him, he'll just simply dispose of them. But he really does hope they would join. His group is kinda small. I mean, there are 3 strong soldiers, but only 3. Clearly, Cooler has more than enough power himself if he wants to take down Frieza's army, but it would be a lot less work on his part if he just had other people do it. And he knows his squadron alone won't be enough, he'll need some more people. But Cooler's squadron then realizes, the Saiyans are still here. If they left already, they would have seen the ship leaving, but they didn't see or detect any ships leaving the planet. So, they really are dead or hiding around here somewhere. They continue their search, knowing that they'll find something. Vegeta realizes that they need a distraction, and he has a good idea, but he's not sure if it'll really work. In his hands, he charges a small concentrated ki blast. They wonder what he's doing, but he tells them to trust it. They should buy them some time. He places his hand on the ground below them. launching a precision blast that tears right through the planet, going to the other side. And once it erupts out of the surface of the planet on the other side, it explodes. And the explosion's loud enough and bright enough for Cooler's squadron to notice it. By doing this, Vegeta hopes to send them to the other side of the planet, and it seems like his plan actually worked. Cooler and his squadron head over right away, trying to find where that explosion was. But Vegeta knows they only have limited time. Still, this time is crucial. It'll allow them to get to their ship and actually leave the planet. Vegeta waits a bit. A few seconds pass, and the Saiyans don't know what's happening, but Vegeta then gives a signal. Quickly, Nappa grabs Kakarot, being the one to carry him this time. And the Saiyans all make a run for it. They can't fly or else they'll be detected. And luckily they don't need to worry about Kakarot's power because he's too weak at the moment. But this should buy them enough time. They all run out of the cave at the same time, finally escaping, bringing Kakarot alongside them. Obviously they were planning to recruit Kakarot, so they knew they needed extra space and they couldn't just bring regular space pods. Hidden away nearby, they have a larger ship, one where they load their actual space pods on. And on that ship is just the thing they need, a healing pod. Although it's only one, so they can't all heal at once. They each load their individual pods on the ship, then getting aboard and preparing to leave. Cooler and his squadron are still on the other side of the planet, so luckily they have just enough time to take off, with the ship flying out of the atmosphere, rocketing off into space. Meanwhile, with Cooler's squadron, they don't find anything, until they stumble upon a massive crater where the explosion occurred. But there's nothing else around it, it's just the crater. Except in the middle, it seems there's something interesting. They go over and look closely. There's a hole, one that leads directly to the other side of the planet. And they immediately realize what they just stumbled upon. It was a distraction. Angered, Cooler launches a massive blast through this hole, making it large enough for him to jump through and get to the other side of the planet, with his squadron following. And they end up in a cave, or at least the remains of a cave. Cooler basically blew it all up once he sent that blast through the planet. This must have been where the Saiyans were hiding, and they created that distraction to leave. They look around further, but they don't see anything. No ships, no Saiyans, nothing, except a few bloodstains here and there. Cooler can't believe it, outsmarted by some monkeys. But whatever, he'll find them eventually. This is only a minor setback, and regardless, even if they don't get the Saiyans with them, Cooler will destroy Frieza himself. It just would have made things a little bit easier for him, at least in terms of the effort he had to put in. But he remembers what they found out before, at least what they theorized. There was some sort of rebellion against Frieza, and whatever Saiyans were here, well, they were a pain in Frieza's ass, which is why Frieza wanted to eliminate them in the first place. And this gives Cooler a nice opportunity to screw with Frieza. He has a pretty funny joke in mind. Why not make it look like the Saiyans are dead? That way when they eventually show up and try to kill Frieza themselves, he'll be more surprised. He thinks it would be pretty funny and a nice way to get back at his brother. His squadron leaves the planet, as Cooler then jumps out into space. With a single blast from his finger, he blows up the planet. And even though the Saiyans are already far gone, their ship detects this planet exploding from a distance. So they realize it was a good thing they got out of there when they did. Cooler chuckles as he then boards one of the ships, finally leaving alongside his squadron. Frieza eventually does get news of this. Like I mentioned in the last part, he didn't know too much about the details of what happened on the planet. Zarbon, Dodoria, and Kakarot all had their scouters destroyed, and he's not sure what happened to the Saiyan scouters, but they either made them untraceable or didn't bring any. The only thing he knows now is that the planet blew up, and there's no ships that were detected leaving. He has no knowledge of Cooler's involvement, but he does suspect foul play. Or maybe, just maybe, it was those brain-dead monkeys doing what they do best, destroying planets, and in their own outrage and own fighting, they were stupid enough to destroy it. Or maybe it was Kakarot. Maybe he truly was a weakling, and he lost against the other Saiyans and decided to take them down with him by blowing up the planet. He scoffs at this. Regardless of the outcome, they're idiots. Not that it really matters though. All the Saiyans are finally dead, Kakarot included. And even though Frieza did lose 3 of his greatest soldiers, I mean, it's Frieza. He wouldn't care much. Sure, Zarbon and Dodoria were loyal, but who cares? He could replace them. And as for Kakarot, he was a Saiyan. He wanted him to die regardless. He had no real relation to Kakarot. He was just manipulating him to be a weapon. Frankly, he didn't care if Kakarot made it out of the mission alive or not. But whatever, with the Saiyans out of the picture, he could focus on greater things, like destroying his brother. King Cold's a bit suspicious though. Maybe there's some detail that they're missing. He doesn't want to celebrate just yet, but he'll be cautiously optimistic. Some time passes, about a few days since the battle took place. After traveling through space, Vegeta and his crew end up on a new planet, a deserted one that Vegeta found and one that's off Frieza's map, one that they don't have charted yet. They found this a while ago and this is going to be their hideout location. Think about it, Vegeta's a really smart guy and a good strategist. He would have planned ahead, he'd be stupid not to. They found this planet a while ago and sent a bunch of supplies here, and this is where they'll stay for the time being, although they don't know how long that'll be. A month? A year? Maybe longer? Whatever it takes. Before they move forward with their plan to defeat Frieza, there's still the issue of Kakarot being loyal to Frieza. They need to take care of that somehow. Raditz and Nappa were able to heal with rest and medical attention, while Kakarot's injuries were so bad that he needed to be put in the medical pod. So he's still in there healing. The three other Saiyans discuss what to do next, and Kakarot eventually does wake up, fully healed now. He's still angry at the three Saiyans, and he's not on their side, but reluctantly he does know he has to work with them for the time being, because Cooler is chasing them, or at least he suspects. Even though they all made it out of the planet alive, they still think Cooler's gonna find them somehow, and they know they need to prepare. Kakarot prefers to go back to Frieza though, that's who he's loyal to. He doesn't want to stay with these three. He's angered, he should just kill them all now, but Raditz is even more frustrated, snapping at his brother once again. Why can't Kakarot see? Frieza's the bad guy. Of course, Kakarot knows that Frieza's no good guy, neither are the Saiyans, but he knows he's allied with Frieza. He knows Frieza's on his side and vice versa, but Raditz says he's blind. Just look at what happened there. Frieza specifically sent that group to that planet to kill the Saiyans. But Kakarot says it's simply because they were troublemakers. He knows this, that's what Frieza told him. But Raditz keeps trying to convince his brother. While the two are arguing, Vegeta then butts in, knowing the great way to motivate Kakarot to join them. Yeah, Kakarot is loyal to Frieza, but there is one person he isn't loyal to that they have in common as an enemy, Cooler. As I mentioned, Kakarot doesn't know Cooler, but he knows Frieza doesn't really have the best relationship with his brother. So Vegeta mentions this. If anything, aren't they enemies? And remember, Cooler was going to try to kill them. They saw the planet blow up. Plus, they may be being chased by him right now. He could show up any moment. Vegeta tells Kakarot he could return to Frieza, but he tells Kakarot to consider a few things. For one, Frieza may assume Kakarot turned on his comrades, since he was the only survivor. I mean, look at the evidence. He would be the only one getting out of that planet alive, and the planet's blown up somehow. Why would the planet be blown up if Kakarot was okay? It would make it look like he's hiding something. Not to mention, Zarbon probably would have survived too. He's stronger than Kakarot after all. So if Kakarot goes back alone, it would just make things look bad to Frieza. And even if that all does go well, consider this too. Cooler may find Kakarot somehow. Cooler clearly wanted them dead or something. So if Kakarot goes back, he's only risking his own life. Ironically enough, Vegeta is using Cooler to bring Kakarot closer to them. As far as they know though, Cooler is stronger than Frieza, so even if they did want to try to fight him, that would be a really big challenge. I mean, they obviously can't fight Frieza on their own. So at the moment, they won't be able to fight Cooler either. Kakarot is conflicted, and Vegeta sees that. They could use this to their advantage. Maybe Kakarot will finally join them, even if it's for the wrong reason. I mean, they are all screwed regardless, so if they're all gonna get defeated somehow, Kakarot might as well join them and give them a fighting chance. And reluctantly, Kakarot finally agrees. He tells them he's not their friend though. This is only an enemy of my enemy situation. But this at least buys them some more time with Kakarot. If they keep talking with him and conversing, they may finally be able to convince him to join, convince him to turn against Frieza. Out in space, Cooler begins tracking them. He knows they're out there somewhere, and knows that Frieza isn't searching for them since he assumes they're dead. Between all their normal conquests, Cooler's squadron goes to check uninhabited planets, seeing if they could find any sign of life from the Saiyans. This isn't their main priority, and they only do this in between missions, so it does take some time. Plus, they don't really know where to look. They have to check planets with civilizations and uninhabited planets. The Saiyans could be hiding anywhere. And to make things worse, they might be on one of Frieza's planets, and if they interfere with that, then they'll have the Frieza Force on their ass. Meaning Frieza would get involved, and they don't want that happening. They don't want Frieza to know that they're searching for the Saiyans, because then Frieza would know they're alive. Cooler wants them for himself, either to join or to kill. Many months pass, the Saiyans continue their training and Cooler keeps searching. Eventually, Salza lands on the planet that they were on, detecting them on a scouter as they're training. The Saiyans don't notice because they don't have their own scouters on. But with all their training, they've actually developed the ability to sense ki, although it's still very subtle right now, so they don't notice until Salza's already close. The four Saiyans quickly power down, trying to sense where he is. They look up and they see him flying over, and Salza makes eye contact. He's about to alert Cooler, but before he does, Vegeta sticks his hand up, launching a blast right at his face that destroys his scouter, also knocking him out of the sky. Alright, this is good. He didn't alert them just yet. If Vegeta didn't do that, they'd be all on this planet within an hour or so. But this at least buys some time, and they know that Cooler is coming. Obviously they would kill Salza here, but since they kill him, they know that Cooler is going to show up soon to see what happened. So they begin preparing. They don't know if they're strong enough, but they might be. They can escape or fight. Although trying to escape probably wouldn't be the best idea, because Cooler could just find their ship easily, blowing it up in space and killing them that quickly. Some time passes and the rest of Cooler's squadron lands on the planet, and the Saiyans waste no time in killing them. And just as they expected, right after this, Cooler himself shows up. He makes things quick, telling them his proposition. As they could tell, his army is a bit short-handed. I mean, they just killed 3 of his best and only soldiers. So he'd like them to join him. He knows they have some grievances against Frieza. He doesn't really know about Kakarot, but he knows the other 3 do. And if they join, he'll help them kill Frieza together. They could work as double agents after all. And if not, well, he just killed him. The choice is theirs, and he wants an answer right now. In unison, the group jumps up in the air, quickly flying away from Cooler to the other side of the planet. That's cute. They think they could escape. He chases them down around to the other side of the planet. And when they arrive, he notices it's nighttime, and realizes why they went here. Up in the sky, he sees a full moon, and from the forest around him, he hears rumbling. Deep rumbling screams bellow out of the forest. Trees fall all around Cooler, as he looks around and sees the 4 Saiyans around him, now in their grade 8 form. The Saiyans are confident. They're strong enough now after all their training, and in this state, they should be able to defeat Cooler. Immediately, they begin attacking. Cooler's confident at first, but he's surprised. They actually are really powerful. He doesn't take much damage, but their attacks actually do hurt a bit. Although he's not deterred. He ascends upwards in the sky, with the moon right behind him. The moonlight bounces off his head. The Saiyans look up and see the silhouette of Cooler floating above them. They hear Cooler let out a roar, as his silhouette grows in size, getting more twisted and changing shape. What's this? Cooler has another transformation? The clouds in the night sky are blown away, and in the middle of the 4 Saiyans, Cooler descends.
It's surprising to see that you push me to transform me, but don't get cocky. This ends now.
And with that, we'll leave this part off here for now. So, how will the fight with Cooler go? What will happen with Frieza later on? Will Kakarot actually form an alliance with the Saiyans? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like, and let's try to hit that like goal from the beginning of the video so you get another part of this series. If you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about any future parts of this What If, or any other videos that I upload on my channel. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.